Assalamu alaikum dear students. In the series of learning C programming, we are discussing files in C, file handling in C. In the previous video, we have discussed what are files, why do we need files, how the files are going to be stored how the data is going to be stored in the hard disk. That all have been discussed in the previous video very minutely and thoroughly. And in today's video, we are going to discuss the file pointer. In this video, we will discuss what is file pointer, or we can say how we can access the files in the hard disks, and what are the various functions that are used for accessing the files in the hard disks. That all will be discussed in today's video very minutely with the help of the example. चूंकि अच्छे परान C programming, the C programming में अच्छे परान file handling. पच्चीस वीडियोस में पूछा से फाइल हैंडलिंग क्या गई, फाइल क्या गई, तो उसके क्या अगर स्टोर करूँ डाटा परमानेंटली हार्ड डिस्क के मज तो तकन कत तरीकस मुझे फाइल डाटा स्टोर गसान तो कोरा डिस्कस पच्चीस वीडियोस मज इसके वीडियोस में वुचो इस फाइल हैंडलिंग पार्ट सेकंड छु अत वुचो के फाइल पॉइंटर क्या गो तो कितकन एक्सेस करान फाइल्स कितकन हेकान वेरियस ऑपरेशंस perform correct file and pet in CS. That will be discussed in today's video with the help of the example. So our today's unit is file handling. We know that we can access the files. We can perform the various operation on the files by using the file pointer. Now, what is file pointer? File pointer is nothing. It is a pointer which is used to perform, through which we can access the files. We can perform various operations on the files. The pointer which are used to perform various operations on the files is called a file pointer. As we know that, if we declare, for example, int pointer p, what does this declaration mean? Or we can say int pointer ptr. This means that ptr is a pointer that stores the address of the integer variable. So, integer is the data type. The data type of this ptr, the data type of the variable whose address this ptr is going to be stored is integer. In the same way, if we want to store the address of the variable whose data type is float, we can simply write float point asterisk ptr. This means ptr is the point. Ptr is the name of the pointer. We store the address of the variable whose data type is float. And in the same way, in order to store the address of the file, we must have the data type file type. We must have a data type file type. That data type must be the type of the data type must be a file. So, if we write here, for example, if you write here ptr, if I am going to store ptr equal to, for example, address of integer variable. For example, I have declared here int a, and here ptr is the pointer of type float, and I am here assigning ptr address of a. It's illegal because we cannot store the address of the variable. The data type of the pointer must be same as that of the data type of the variable. क्योंकि अगर मैं इतना करके मैं कर इतना फ्लोट को मैं पॉइंटर रख दिया तो मगर ptr प्लस में इंटीजर वेरिएबल आसमान में इंटीजर वेरिएबल एड्रेस करन स्टोर ये इलीगल तो क्या जी मैं जरूरी ये में टाइप हो कि मैं वेरिएबल आसे तमी टाइप गछ आस पॉइंटर ते इथे कने अगर मैं फाइल को एड्रेस करूं स्टोर ठीक है अच्छा पता है यम साथ इस कांस्ट ऑपरेशन फाइल पर करो दैट इज गोइंग टू बी परफॉर्म थ्रू द पॉइंटर्स सो या कोस खाली पॉइंटर जरिए तस पर कांस्ट ऑपरेशन कर चाहे क्लोज करो चाहे फॉर एग्जांपल रीड करो राइट करो व्हाटसोएवर वी वांट टू operation we want to perform on the files, that is going to be performed through by using the file pointer. So, for example, if I have a file, this is our hard disk. or we can say a secondary memory, hard disk, and this is our primary memory, or we can say a main memory. Main memory. And for example, this is a file abc.txt. This is a text file whose name is abc, and we know that if we want to store the data permanently, we can store that data into the hard disk in the form of the files. So what is the file? File is nothing. Actually, it's just scan bytes where we can store the data permanently. File can actually key, you scan byte and you can just data store as permanently. That means if we want to store the data permanently, then we use the files. For example, ABC is the name of the file. abc.txt is the name of the file. And it has some data written on it. Data. And if I want to perform some operations on this ABC, then how I can perform? I cannot access directly this ABC text. I cannot perform an operation directly on the hard disk. So, what we have to do? First of all, we have to load this file into the main memory. That means copy of this file is going to be loaded into the main memory. For example, this is our main memory, and where it is going to be loaded. Where it is going to be loaded in the main memory? In the buffer. Because here is the buffer where this content, the copy of this content is going to be loaded. That means here now this buffer contains the copy of this data. And now the buffer. And after that, for example, this is a copy of this ABC. AB is the variable. And this is the pointer, PTR. And how the process is going internally, what is the behind the scene, actually kicking the essential working of this buffer. Because in order to access this file, we must have a pointer. We cannot access directly this file that is stored. We cannot access directly files. We are going to access the files by using the pointer. So, in order to access the file, we must have a file. We must have a pointer. But what type of pointer? We must have the pointer of type file. We have a data type file, file. This, we must have a pointer of type this file. That means file, pointer, PTR. We must be a data type, PTR is a pointer that is going to store the address of the variable of type file. That means this PTR now can store the address of file. PTR is a pointer because this has to tell the compiler that PTR is a file. But what type of the address is going to be stored? This PTR. This PTR now stores the address of the variable whose data type is file. In the same, similarly, as we have already discussed, int a, and for example, I am here declaring a pointer PTR. This under here, this declaration tells the compiler that PTR is a pointer that can hold the address of the variable whose data type is int. In the same way, this PTR tells the compiler that PTR is the pointer that can hold the address of the variable whose data type is file. And this, how we can create this data type. This file data type are going to be created by using the, we have already discussed it in the previous video, by using the type def subtract and file file. The user defined data type def subtract, and here it contains pointer, it contains buffer and some other information. This data type contains pointer, this is a pointer, for example this is a pointer, and it contains buffer, this is a buffer, and some other information. And it is a platform dependent. It depends upon the contents of this file, this I can say data type depends. It can depend upon the machine. It can depend upon it's a platform dependent. This is a platform dependent. Here I can say here that now this ABC, for example, this is a variable, this is a variable, and this contains now, for example, address of this is 1000. The address of this variable is 1000. Now this PTR contains the address of PTR. This variable. So whenever I want to access the files, whenever I want to perform any operation of the files, we must have a pointer. But that pointer must be of type file. And we can create this pointer, this data type by using this type def struct. User-defined data type. Because int, keyed, float, these are the inbuilt data types. Inbuilt, but type def is the user-defined. And we can use this capital F-I-L-E, file. F-I-L-E, file has the data type, and PTR is the name of the pointer that stores the address of the variable whose data type is file. For example, this is a variable. For example, this is a variable A, B, C. This is a variable. And now, first of all, whenever I want to perform any operation on this file, first up it must be loaded into the main memory. Because main memory is volatile in nature. It varies data so far as there is electricity. As soon as electricity is switched off, this data gets erased. This data gets deleted. But so far as this hard disk, it is a non-volatile in nature. That is why we can store, if we want to preserve data for a long time and permanently, we can store that in the hard disk in the form of the files. So here, first of all, what is getting? This data, the copy of this data, abc.txt is going to be loaded into this buffer. And how? Whenever we want to perform any of, there is a function fopen. Fopen is the function fopen, as the name specifies, as the name suggests, that f file open. By writing this file name, this function, what happens? The copy of this ABC is going to be loaded into the main memory in the buffer. Buffer is copy. And similarly, from buffer, this buffer, it is going to be here, ABC. This is a variable of type file. And now, this, for example, address of this variable is 1000. Now, this 100 contains the address of this buffer, this variable. Address of type file type variable. So, we can say, we can access this file through this pointer. And more precisely, we can say we can access this file through this buffer. First, pointer is the variable that can contain address of this variable, and which can now point to this abc.txt file. क्योंकि अस वुचना यम सात अस कांति काम अस करने कुन फाइल पर चाहे कांति ऑपरेशन अस करन तम सात क्या अस करन अस पेवान ये फाइल लोड करें अमिस कॉपी गसान छ लोड हार्ड डिस्क पे मेन मेमोरी मज तो मेन मेमोरी मज आसान बफर ततन इस रोजान फॉर टाइम बीइंग ततन छी गसान अनु डाटा कंटेंट गसान लोड तो दिस बफर से आसान इस बफर से एम पछु डाटा गसान ये इस वेरिएबल ऑफ टाइप फाइल छ आसान ऑलरेडी क्रिएट गमु तो ये is variable of type files tanuk address can store in the pointer. So we cannot access directly. Directly we can access direct file access. No, we can access this through this buffer and then to file. By using this function fopen. Now what is fopen? Fopen, that means file open. File open is the function that is used to open the file. Whenever I want to perform any operation on the file, first of all we must use this. By using this file open function, the contents of that file which we want to access are going to be, copy of that is going to be loaded into the main memory. And in the main memory we can perform any operation. We cannot perform any operation, we cannot update the files in the hard disks. Because the main memory is the memory which is used for various services currently used by the operating system. So here fopen, and now what does fopen contains? Fopen also accepts some arguments. First of all, it accepts the file name in double quotes, file name, and then mode, mode. Then what does this mean? First of all, if I want to open this abc.txt. What I have write, app file open, file name, what's the file name? ABC, and now mood. That means in which mood I want to open this file. That means what operations I want to perform on this file. There are different operations, there are different modes which are used for in files. But some important, some common modes are, there are 6 common modes. Here I can write, for example, R, W and A, and R plus, W plus, A plus. What R for read? We can open this file in read mode. That means we can read the contents of this file. We cannot append, we cannot write anything on this file by using this R mode. And W for write mode. We can write something on this file. And A for append, we can modify the contents of the file. We can modify the contents of the file. And R plus means both read and write. And W plus also means read and write, but with some differences. And A plus also contains to append something. So there are six different modes which can be used for, which we can apply in a file. For example, if I want to read something here, I can write simply R. That means this instruction, this in app open ABC or this all can be done by using this app open function ABC. What will happen internally? This line can perform the action. What action it can perform? It can first upload the contents of this, copy of this into the buffer, and buffer will be connected with the variable of type file, and which contain the address of that variable is going to be stored in the PT or in read mode. That means we can only read the contents of it. If I want to read the contents of that file and does not want to append, does not want to write anything more on that file, at that time we can write here or, only or. Okay. So this is how the files are going to be accessed internally. So in short, we can say we cannot directly access the files in the hard disk. We can access the file, we can perform any operation on the files by using the pointers. But that pointer must be of type file. This file, F-I-L-E-P-T-R, because the name can be anything, it is up to you. But file, F-I-L, file is a data type. Just like as int is the data type, K is the data type, float is the data type. But it's a user-defined data type. It can be created by using the type depth subtract. And also, this type depth subtract is defined in the header file stdio.h. And this also file open is also defined in the header file stdio.h. I now hope that you have now understood how we can access the contents of the file, how we can perform various operations on the file. We can perform any operation of the file by using the file pointers. We cannot directly access the hard disk. We cannot directly access the contents of what files are stored in the hard disk. We cannot access directly those files. We can access those files by using the file pointer. Now, after performing some operation on the files, it is important, it is mandatory, it is necessary to close. We can access app close and pointer name. What's the pointer of this? PTR. That's it. After performing the operation, what operation I have to perform, what operation I want to, after doing that work, we must close that file in order to free this memory. Whenever we use this function, close PTR, that means this pointer, this file is going, the contents in the main disk here is going to be erased, deleted. This memory is going to be released. That means at close, release the memory. Close this memory back into the hard disk. Now I hope that you know how to perform various operations in the files, and what is a file pointer, how we can create a file pointer, how the file pointer works internally, and what is the function of this file open and file close. And inshallah, in the next videos, we will discuss various modes on files. We can, with the help of their example, everything regarding those modes, everything regarding the operations of the files will be discussed in coming videos very minutely and thoroughly. Till the next video, take care. Bye bye.